Welcome to another edition of Behind the Curtain. We're very pleased today to be joined by Horace Cooper, constitutional law expert. We're going to be talking all things Obama scandal. Let's dive right into it. Edward Snowden, hero or villain? I think this guy's a hero. So there's a small crime there. He's saving America from going down the Hitler road.
Well, I'm going to take a bit different point of view on this. I am really concerned that we've had Jimmy Carter, we had Bill Clinton, and now Barack Obama, all of whom had some kind of scandal involving our national security agencies on their watch, and what followed was an emasculation of our national security agencies. I am concerned that this may be an example where they pushed information out or encouraged information to come out so that they could counter some of the other scandals that are already in place.
Well, I see that. And that's maybe the Dick Cheney argument. I see that. But don't you think without Snowden, if he hadn't blown the whistle, we would never know about any of the Stalin stuff going on. I mean, doesn't the civil libertarian in you, aren't you concerned? I mean, but for Snowden, what are the odds any of this would have ever come out? None of it may have ever come out. Nobody would know.
I don't actually know exactly what it is that he is claiming that is happening that hasn't already been happening for the last 10 years. And I'm not certainly going to be one who says under the Bush administration it's fine to fight terrorism, but when it's Obama's turn, I'm opposed to it.
Well, you're making the left argument. This is rare for you. This is rare for you, Horace. But here's the thing now. Bush had the capacity, but I think the point is Bush didn't use it. Bush may have used it for 2,000 people. Obama seems to be collecting this information for tens of millions of people. I think that's the difference. Sure, the capacity's been there, but Bush was concerned about 2,000 bad guys, and that's probably a good thing. This is now millions of people, Hitler style, and growing, and that's just what we know of.
When I worked in the Capitol Hill, I sat in a meeting room in the Speaker's office, 1996, and Speaker Gingrich said to the group that was gathered, right now, the NSA has the ability, and they probably are, listening to this very conversation. Now that's listening to the actual content. What this scandal is about is the collating of information about phone calls, how long they occurred, and who they occurred to. You think you own that information, but actually you don't own that information. If you own that information, they'd subpoena you for it. Well, it's precisely the fact that it's not your information. This is like your credit score. This is like your record out in the marketplace that other third parties are collecting.
Okay, but legalisms aside, regardless of who owns it, why is Big Brother doing this? Like, why would they be, even if that's true, why would they be listening to Newt's conversation? They should be listening to conversations in cases where maybe somebody will blow up the Empire State Building or something where they can save thousands of lives. That's the threshold for listening to conversations. Other than that, I don't want Big Brother listening to any conversations. I mean, I don't care who owns the data. I don't think the federal government should be involved in storing that kind of data. I mean, my thinking is this should only be done in cases where there's a grave national emergency and we have to save lives to prevent airplanes from flying into the Empire State Building.
Well, look at what happened in Boston, and you'll see that within a very, very short time of identifying who the perpetrators were, they were able to take their cell phone numbers and instantly use metadata as a way to track down the co-conspirators.
But see, Boston's a good example. Let's make some news. I'll be real controversial. I don't think what happened in Boston, tragic as it is sufficiently serious to warrant the incursions and intrusions on liberty that we're seeing. I just don't think, I'd rather not catch those guys at all than have 100 million phone records stored and everybody's liberty infringed on. Maybe that's a value choice. Maybe that's the core policy choice.
All right. Verizon's already saving this. AT&T is already saving this. They're planning to sell it. Now you're telling me that the difference between the federal government coming in and purchasing that from Verizon versus issuing a subpoena for it makes all the difference between our civil liberties.
Sure, because the state, it's in the possession of Big Brother. If you sell it around, that's innocuous because they're just interested in marketing. They're interested in learning where you go to dinner or how we can get Morris to go to Morton's as opposed to Smith & Walensky or something like that. To my mind, that's innocuous, although I do have concerns about data being stored generally. But when Big Brother gets it, that's dangerous because you have all that data, the state, it's the growth of the state. It's the growth of the state.
There is absolutely no doubt that we have a problem with the surveillance state and we have a problem with national security overwhelming civil liberties. But we've got to understand the primacy Government exists primarily to protect us from those who would attack us and harm us. All the other, healthcare, feeding, housing, that's secondary. Its primary responsibility is that. Now, how we help it to do that is a good discussion to have.
Well, as you can see, this is splitting conservatives. Horace and I don't often disagree. I think this might be the first time in 15 years. Horace Cooper, many thanks.
Thanks
One
for
of
having me on.
America's great constitutional experts. We'll see you next week.